I'm going to call it Keir's Korma Karma. You'll remember that for the majority of the past 5 months, the Labour Party and its embattled leader tried to convince us that the most important issue in the country was partygate. So even in the middle of a cost of living crisis, a once-in-a-generation pandemic recovery and a terrifying European war, Mr Starmer told us consistently and constantly that both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor should resign because they were presented with a birthday cake in an unopened Tupperware container in the middle of 2020. Look, I was as angry as you about the rule-breaking, given the completely inhumane policies the government enacted on us. But there has been no sense of perspective from the political or media class. Until it turns out Starmer and his deputy leader, Angela Rayner, were at it as well. The Bears with Care event in Durham last April was a far more egregious breach of the rules. And now, treating voters as if we're stupid, Labour doesn't want to talk about partygate. No, they insist there are more important issues, despite spending the past 5 months demanding the PM resign for a smaller indiscretion. Look.
Have you broken COVID rules?
No, I haven't. We were in the office, we were working, we paused for something to eat, there was no party, no rules were broken, there was no party. It's not a party, not a breach of the rules, no party, no breach of the rules. Well, Robert, no rules were broken and there was no breach of the rules.
OK.
No, we didn't break any rules. There was no breach of the rules.
Keir Starmer didn't break COVID rules.
No rules were broken. There was no breach of the rules.
But this was well within the rules.
That is not a breach of the rules.
This was well within the rules.
There is no breach of the rules. There was no party. There's nothing to investigate.
Why are we even talking about this morning?
It was perfectly lawful to meet for work, which is what we were doing. We were very busy. We were working.
Drinking a beer, is that reasonably necessary for work purposes?
We'd stopped to eat a takeaway whilst we were working in the office, and then we carried on. We were working really hard.
That is very much what you might describe as a work event.
The workplace guidance that was in place at the time, participants should physically attend meetings only where reasonably necessary. There should not be any sharing of food and drink by staff who do not share a household.
Well, Sophie, there is no breach of the rule there.
He did not break any of the COVID rules.
Labour said the party's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, wasn't there. It now turns out she was.
We said she wasn't there, but she was there. But
I get it was a mistake,
but
why wasn't it corrected?
Well,
you see how it looks? It just looks a bit shifty, even if it wasn't.
There was no breach of the rules.
But Keir Starmer hasn't broken the law.
Well, he hasn't broken the law.
I don't think anybody would seriously say Keir Starmer's team would lie to the media about this.
The truth is, there really isn't anything to see.
There were no rules broken, and that really is the end of the matter.
I don't think it is, sir. This morning, it got worse for Mr Starmer, who seemed to suggest on Good Morning Britain that he was allowed to break the rules with a beer and curry party for 30 people at 10 p.m. because he was filming pieces to camera. He's different to us mere mortals, you see.
Are you trying to say that what you did was reasonable for work purposes?
We were there working. We were doing pieces to camera. We did a members' event.
Why does the fact you're doing pieces to camera make it any different?
I'm explaining why we're in the office.
Right, but why were you in the office with food, takeaway food and beer late at night with 30 people? You've already said your wife couldn't go into her father's flat to clean. So how come so many of you were in a room drinking beer and eating food?
Let me just try and answer that. I was doing pieces to camera, which we pre-record to send out at other times. We were clearing documents, we were preparing for the next day, we were doing all the things that we have to do. This is what we do when we're on the road, because we're out all day. Now, we were in the office to do that work. At some point, this was in the evening, everybody's hungry, and a takeaway was ordered. It was then delivered into the kitchen of the offices.
Well, it sounds very much like a birthday cake at an event where people were working, which is exactly what the Prime Minister
in Durham, all
has
restaurants
said.
and pubs were closed,
Okay.
so takeaways were really the only way you could eat.
They weren't closed, by the way. They were open if you were prepared to eat outdoors, as the rest of us had to. That, from Mr Starmer, was the most bizarre and unconvincing deception I've seen in a long time. What a hypocrite. So surely the party's straight shooter, Angela Rayner, would do better. She's been in hiding ever since the Mail on Sunday revealed it was her who spread rumours about her Basic Instinct leg crossing scandal, and that she was at the Beers with Care event too, a fact Labour lied about. But when I sent my producer Ben Leo to speak to Ms Rayner earlier today, she turned into the latest Labour runaway.
Angela, hello. Sorry to bother you. Ben from GBNews. Can you just clarify whether that Commons conversation happened? Did it happen or are you denying it? And partygate as well, beergate. Did you have curries? And if so, why did it take you so long to admit you were there, Angela? Angela Rayner there, not keen on answering questions about whether that Commons conversation happened or indeed beergate in Durham.
Goodness me, what is it about the Labour Party answering valid and honest questions from GB News? In the past week alone, Rupa Huck and Angela Rayner have both literally sprinted from our cameras. It is funny to watch, though. I will give you that.
But probably bottom is just unfair.
Amanda Patel, hold your thought. Because, look, I understand the deep anger towards the Conservative Party. I'm angry about the damage they inflicted with deadly lockdowns, but compared to the rest of the Western world, they've pulled us out of the COVID madness faster. What Labour has proven this week is that they're not fit to govern. Blatant deception over their own partygate scandal bears with Care, blatant deception from Ms Rayner over the Basic Instinct scandal, and blatant deception over their decision to quietly enter an informal electoral pact with the Lib Dems ahead of tomorrow's local election. All I'm asking for, I'll repeat this, is consistency, both from Labour and the mainstream media. Our political leaders must be held to the same standards.